I'm Jenny Fern and welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. Okay, I feel like the light was here and now it's not, because this is way too bright. So maybe I just do this. Casual. I didn't have any other video for today planned, and I've been working on my mashed potato May reading vlog. I've been working on my reading for that, and it hasn't left a ton of time for anything else. So this will be probably a pretty short video, but it is also a really important update for me and my life. In January, I did a writing flash fiction for the first time video. It was my first creative project video. And as a part of that, I also submitted to some literary journals, and I have gotten several rejections since then. I got another rejection just recently, maybe a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, let me check. I think that's my last rejection. I checked Submittable, and I had one pending, and I was like, maybe this is a good sign, because it's now May. It's been about 4 months. So maybe they're actually interested. Who I had it pending from was the Bookends Review. The next morning, I wake up and I see an email from the Bookends Review, and they accepted my work. So they accepted The Ocean in a Vial, which was my favorite flash fiction piece that I had written in January. And I just thought it was really weird. I thought it was cool. I really liked what unfolded in this work. I think it's 640 words long. So again, it is flash fiction. I thought, submit it, give it a shot. I really genuinely was expecting only rejections, because through my whole writing endeavors, I have received rejections for short stories and stuff that I've submitted. I've never submitted for flash fiction before, never written flash fiction before. Now I've been accepted, which is amazing and really helped me understand a lot better like where I'm at. So yeah, I've mentioned before, I went to school for mechanical engineering. I almost got a minor in linguistics. And I took a few creative writing or writing adjacent, more Englishy classes while I was in college for my electives. I've always been extremely interested in writing, and I've always thought that I would be a writer and an engineer. Excuse me! Shut up! What? Can I just have a moment of peace, please? So I've always considered that I would be a writer while being an engineer. And I've always thought that this would be a part of my life as an adult. Your time just gets really sucked up into things as an adult, and it becomes really challenging to try to do everything. All of that to say, I really didn't have the knowledge of if I was a competent enough writer to be able to be published. And I had done some amount of critique partner work several years ago, but I never had really that much review of my work by real people and not a ton of feedback. So I never really knew if what I thought was good could be accepted by other people. So I'm really happy to kind of have some sort of like marking standard, some sort of something to look at and be like, okay, this is something that was accepted. That's helpful. That's genuinely super helpful to me. Now, today, I need to send a brief biography and, if I want to, a commentary of the work. And I do have a small amount of commentary of the work, and it's just the piece of art that it was inspired by. So I would like to say that this piece was inspired by this piece of art by Felicia Chow. So this is the problem with cleaning up, is the things move. I know it's super close, I just can't see it right now. Oh, here it is. So the piece of art that it's based off of is this piece of art here, which now that I think of it, I don't know if this even has a name, because it's a part of her sketchbook. So I have to write that brief biography and the commentary. So I'm going to work on those things and then I will check back in. There's no other way to say it, but I didn't have my microphone plugged all the way in the clip that I filmed yesterday, and I lost my entire update after I had worked on my author bio. So I have to recreate that experience for you today. Jenny Fern is a mechanical engineer and writer based in California. Her work often explores the quiet strangeness of everyday life and the natural world. She has a deep interest in permaculture and speculative fiction. The Ocean in a Vial is her first piece of published fiction. And then my commentary is, The Ocean in a Vial was inspired by an illustration in Felicia Chow's Sketchbook 6 art book. I kept it very simple. And that is what I came up with. And then the rest of it was me talking a little bit about the whole journey that we've been on, just myself, and then also on this channel together. Yeah, just recently I watched a couple of my older writing vlogs that I'm pretty sure you can still watch on this channel from like 2021. Hello. Today is January 1st, 2022, and I am starting a writing vlog. So hello, welcome. It is still the 2nd, and I just submitted the story Hibernation to Reunion Dallas Review. I read a story earlier on December 29th called Mary's Waking Dream by Melissa Ridley Elms, and I quite liked that story. So yes, I just submitted. It says that I should hear a response by February or March. You will see. I was rewatching those because I just filmed a video about the short stories, favorite short stories. And at that time, I was reading a lot of short stories from literary journals because I was submitting to them. So of course, you have to like read some of the work from the literary journals, make sure it's a good fit and everything. And so I was reading from a whole bunch of them. And I kind of wanted to like see what I had thought of them. Also see if I could find the name for the short story that I just like so vividly remember. And then I'm like, oh my God, was that like a critique partner's work? And I just had read it and nobody else will be able to read it. I don't know. So anyway, I was thinking about how my whole life I have been so interested in writing, and telling stories really has been so important to me throughout my whole life. And I did talk a little bit about how like writing during childhood was definitely a special interest. And even to the point where in 5th grade, I had a teacher who let me write instead of read during SSR, which is silent sustained reading. The craziest acronym, because silent sustained reading does kind of sound like a punishment. A little aggro that they went with that name instead of just like reading time. I don't know. Anyway, I was constantly writing. I had a notebook. I had this, it was like an inch thick, but it was like really small. I had this notebook and I used to go to racetracks a lot as a kid, and I remember on these long car rides to the racetrack, and at the racetrack when I was like bored, I'd be like writing little stories, and they were always really short, really silly. Like some of my favorite projects for school was like writing stories. It really was such a passion for me for so long, and clearly I've never given up on this passion. It comes from within, right? This desire to write. I have always wanted to be a published author. I think that's a lot of people's dreams. And I don't know if I hadn't given up, but I knew that I wasn't a professional writer. Like my profession is engineering, and I am an engineer, and there's not that much time to be something besides your profession in life. I'm really happy that I never stopped, and I'm really happy that I've been kind of putting myself out there this whole time. I just wanted to thank you all for being here with me for that, even though I know so many of you were not here when I was doing those writing vlogs, NaNoWriMo vlogs, everything like that. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I was still doing that work, right? And putting it out into the world. I'm just very grateful that you've been here. That's really all I wanted to say. It does mean a lot to me, and I obviously would do this regardless of people being around or not, but it is very heartwarming, and I feel like there's people rooting for me. That is such a beautiful feeling. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's here now, to everybody who was there before. Just thank you so much. If you enjoyed this, consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back again soon.